to Up Front. It is so good to see you. How are you?
I'm so very well, Ray, and see you as well. That big smile. Love your smile.
Thank you. Thank you. Love yours as well. And, we were so excited when we got the news that Queen Sugar was coming back in 2021. We were a little disappointed because you guys had started shooting last year and we were expecting the new season. And of course, as my friend said, the world came to an end. We experienced COVID. We're going through COVID. And the show is back for a fifth season. And, we were just last Tuesday, I think there was this anticipation. We had left such a powerful season 4. I mean, that was just a tremendous season. We're coming into a new season where life has totally changed. But watching the show, I mean, you guys were able to pick right back up where you started. But can you take us back to when you guys were filming last year and COVID hit?
Yeah, for sure. Because that journey is about to be depicted as season 5. When we when we landed here in New Orleans to shoot season 5, we started shooting at the beginning of March. That's when we always start shooting. And we got one complete episode in the can. And I think we were into day 1 or 2 of episode 2 for season 5 when the phone call came. Literally, the entire cast and crew of about 200 are standing on the stage, and Ava is on speakerphone talking about COVID and how she feels that it or felt that it was best for us to err on the side of caution. And so we were all going to suspend work for 2 weeks. And there were grumblings, and some people were like unhappy about the idea of losing work for 2 weeks, but Ava wanted to be safe. And so we shut down, literally thinking that we were coming back in 2 weeks. And when we started that episode, when we started the season, we had all of the shows written. So Ava and Anthony Sparks had worked to put us in position where all of the episodes were ready to go for season 5. Well, when we went down and 2 weeks turned into months, and Ava was watching all that was going on in the world, she said there's no way that responsibly she could not see COVID through the eyes of the Bordelons. And so they wrote the entire season anew. And so when we did come back in October and started shooting, we literally were shooting episodes that looked exactly like the real time life that Americans were living.
And part of that is going to include, as a viewer, we're going to see the show touch on the social injustice that was going on this time last year, the Black Lives Matter movement. All of that will be touched upon in this season, correct?
You will experience the disbelief around COVID, the uncertainty and question marks of COVID. And then as COVID begins to settle in as one of our characters, you will see the impact of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Black Lives Matter. You will actually, as COVID digs its roots further into our social experience, you'll see an actual death that takes place. You will see someone get really sick. You will see you'll see people lose what they thought were their next step plans. You'll see joblessness. You'll see homelessness, the whole gamut. And, I just really take my hat off to Ava and just applaud the creative team that champions or is the leader of Queen Sugar, because it keeps us relevant in a way that is just, it's refreshing, it's undeniable, but most of all, it really lets us see ourselves in real time.
I think one of the things that I love about the show, and my sister and I, we were talking about this, especially with the first episode. She was like, "Why is Charlie always up against the wall?" And I go back to the idea of, well, you can't be a queen if there's no battles. And so there seems to be a very big battle, not only with COVID, but also saving St. Joe and just the position that she's in right now. Really, I think this is where she's really going to come into why this series is called Queen Sugar.
Right. Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know, because here's the truth. Our shooting of season 5 was unlike any show I've ever done. Because of COVID, they had to make really fast and efficient choices. So what they did was they broke up the cast into pods. And what that looked like was, in a normal shooting schedule, all the actors are on the ground. We all are here in New Orleans, and we are waiting to see on the schedule when we work. And it is common for me to work maybe 4 days a week, as opposed to all 5 days. Whereas Charlie's character tends to work all 5 days, and Nova's character, right? Well, because we needed to keep as much separation to make sure that one person getting sick didn't take the entire production down, Paul Garnes came up with, he's our executive producer on the ground here, he came up with the brilliant strategy of shooting in pods. And so, Charlie's pod became Micah and Timon, or Davis, and Parker, and then the other pods broke down in terms of who they deal with the most. And of course, Aunt Vi's pod was, I'm not going to tell you who moves into our house. You'll have to wait and see that. But Hollywood and Vi. And how that changes the actual shooting is that I go from, working maybe 3 or 4 days a week, 3 or 4 scenes a day, to now I'm working as though that pod is our show, right? And so we're working all day, and we're working in every scene. And so the memorization requirement triples, and the stamina requirement triples, and we are getting all of the pods work done. And then we have like a week between new pods coming in where we do crossover work. So we did crossover work coming into our pod, and then our pod work, and then crossover work leaving our pod. That is completely different. We never saw any of the other cast members in the other pods until we did, a couple of days of crossover. So, and the scripts, because they were all being rewritten. And, if you haven't noticed, Ava has this huge, slate of shows and responsibilities outside of Queen Sugar. So literally, we were getting pages while we were shooting. On the day we were shooting, pages would show up that we would have to learn, and shoot that day. So last night, I'm so glad you mentioned last night's show, because I'm watching that show going, oh my God, because I didn't know what was going on in those other pods.
If you can, where is Aunt Vi this season? We saw her deal with some personal demons last season. She
Yeah.
was able to finally forgive Darla, and there was a lot of, I think, forgiveness at the. It didn't start off that way, but it ended that way last
Yeah.
season. But where is she now in season 5, if you can?
Yeah. Well, there are challenges inside her home. Good, right? Um, when you confront your demons, it does make space. It does clean up some internal space. So internally, she's in a better place. But there are things that are needing to be dealt with. This COVID thing really wreaks havoc. It complicates things, and she and Hollywood will experience a definite COVID related complication, and she loves Hollywood, so she's there for it and is trying to show up as best she can. And he has needs and challenges, and you will see their relationship go through yet another iteration of what love looks like when it's unconditional and committed.
I want to ask, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but is there a desire to, since Ava is so passionate about having Black women behind the cameras, directing and sort of, calling the shots, is there a desire for you, Tina Lifford, to direct a Queen Sugar episode?
That's a fantastic question. Um, I have never really thought of myself as a director, but mine does act like a director based upon people's responses to my question. If I were to direct, I can't think of a better place to do it than this home that has been made available to all of us in the name of Queen Sugar. It's a family, it's a team. And so I don't know, Ray, maybe you just gave me a great idea. Who knows?
Well, Ms. Lifford, thank you so very much for being a guest today on Upfront and for taking time out of your busy schedule. Again, I love the show, and I've said before, this is the best representation of African American life on television. Bottom line.
Yes.
And again, we're so excited about this season and super excited about season 6. So you guys continue to stay safe, and we will continue to watch.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ray.